I guess this topic we're going to talk about sort of planning for diversity, and specifically, I guess we look at three things: diversity in access, diversity in use, and as well as design. And I'm wondering, how that kind of plays out with sort of pre-service teachers and what they're going to be looking towards.
Yeah, I suppose the first thing to look at is that those things about access, use and design, you can look at them through technological perspective, or you can also look at it through a social perspective. That there's a continuum of access. Some children will come without having even a computer, some will come with dial-up access, some will come with broadband access, some will come with knowing a whole lot of things to do on the computer, some won't have that, won't have access to different software at home, some will only have that at school, and some students will even be able to code little computers and make little things. You got any examples of that?
Yeah, so like for example, I guess I give my daughter as an example, where I go into the office and she's working on GarageBand, which is like an application to edit and develop music on the Mac, and she's already in there developing beats and putting layers of like orchestras over the top of it, and so already designing her own music through that program, which I thought was pretty interesting.
Yeah, and I suppose like embedded in that is that there'll be issues of the digital divide where children will have access to a whole lot of stuff at home and children won't. But one of the opportunities there is to look at what are going to be the languages and the technologies of power in the future, and is one of the roles and responsibilities of the school to actually promote those languages of power so the children have got more choices in the future. So that's one of the justifications for overcoming some of that digital divide.
Yeah, I think too also that looking at other aspects of access, meaning the idea of administrative censorship, like we discussed in the other topic about not even having access to certain websites or social or Web 2.0 websites that would be helpful for discussing certain literacy practices and actually engaging in certain literacy practices, I guess, and how that plays out in the classroom as well, because some people are getting that at home, others are not, but at school they're getting a certain sort of limitations within those practices. So I guess in planning how do we think about those things, or how we think about those things are important.
I think managing the diverse funds of knowledge that the children bring in, the diverse home practices that they bring into the classroom, we've got to really be sensitive that some students will out-design the teacher or out-use the teacher in software, and we have to work out ethical ways of learning from the children rather than positioning that they're other and they can't do it. Or the teachers can't do it, and they're a bit worried about that. So I think when we're looking at diversity, it's a social practice, and we're looking at sort of social answers to that straight off.
And I think finally, it just I guess too, is that changes the dynamics of some of the teacher-student, student-teacher, and not as I guess shouldn't be changing, but more of like the sort of how students are able to express themselves or explore their learning in different multimodal practices.
Multimodal practices, yeah. And I suppose it's making that learning visible, and those two-way learnings that are possible, the learning from the children and the children from the teacher, and making that visible through multimodal channels, I think is a really good way to ethically approach the diverse practices that are coming into the classroom.